When it comes to buying an e-mountain bike, we all know that it costs thousands of pounds. However, there's plenty of bargains to be had on the second-hand market. So today's video, we're taking a look at how to buy second-hand. When it comes to buying your e-mountain bike second-hand, there's a couple of options. First, it's going to be from a dealer. They might have a few second-hand or ex-demo rental bikes in stock they're looking to shift on. Secondly, it's going to be buying private from the likes of Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree and eBay, things like that. Now, some of the great things about buying from a dealer is actually the knowledge of that whole bike shop in general. Those guys work on bikes 9 to 5 every single day, so their knowledge about e-bikes is going to be massive if you've got any questions. Next up is the servicing of the bike. That bike would have been for a strict regime where it's going to be checked for every single thing, so every little fault that could possibly happen with the bike should have been ironed out. And the other great thing is about the history of the bike. People that have their bikes serviced by bike shops are going to get known by the mechanics as well, so they're going to know the previous owner. Buying from a well-known dealer is definitely a good move. It might lessen the chances of the e-bike actually being stolen and you buying a stolen bike. They also might be able to offer you a limited warranty on that bike. It might be a week, it might be a month, something like that, but it's definitely at their discretion. And lastly, if you're just starting out an e-bike, and they're going to have all those spares and all the kit under one roof as well as the knowledge. Now, obviously, there's a few downsides when it comes to buying from a dealer. Firstly, I think the price. You might pay a little bit more than you would do buying from a private seller. Secondly, it's obviously the stock and the sizes and the colours of the actual bikes that they're going to have in stock. It's going to be a lot less than obviously if you were to buy new. And obviously when you walk into that bike shop, you're going to have nice, new, shiny e-bikes staring at you in the face, and that temptation is going to be pretty hard to resist. The second option is a private seller. Usually all this stuff can be found online on websites such as eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree, Craigslist. The list is literally endless. You're going to find a big selection of bargain bikes out there, but you can definitely get stung as well. When it comes to online, there's going to be a massive choice of bikes on there. It's going to vary in sizes, colours and the different levels of condition that bike's going to be in. It's all going to reflect in the final price. So you might actually find your dream bike at a bargain price. So the downsides of buying second-hand, obviously there are a few. And firstly, I think there's obviously going to be no warranty with the bike. So if something was to go wrong with the main parts like the motor, frame, battery, things like that, it's up to you to fix it. So it could get costly if it was to go wrong. Secondly, there's going to be no history with the bike. Aside from what the seller's going to tell you, it could just be a pack of lies. And lastly, I think if the deal's too good to be true, it probably is. It could be a stolen bike, something like that. So suggest you walk away. When it comes to buying a second-hand e-mountain bike, there's definitely a few things you need to consider. Do you want a hardtail or do you need a full suspension bike for the type of riding you're going to be doing? Also think about the size of the bike. Do you need a medium or do you need an XL? But we've done those videos before. We're going to throw to them at the end of this video. Now, you definitely don't want to be buying a bike without viewing or test riding it first. The test ride is a massive part of buying a second-hand e-bike. It's your chance to test out the whole thing, make sure the system works, the motor's nice, there's no horrible noises or nothing too out of place on the bike. Obviously, if it's just buying it online, you can hide a lot of problems in a photo. You make it look a lot better than the actual bike is. So getting hands-on with it is definitely vital. A really important part of buying second-hand is to actually work on a bit of a relationship with the seller. Just talk to them about the bike, where they've been riding, how they ride. It's going to give you a little bit of inside information to how that bike might have been treated. Also, it might help with negotiation later on. It might knock a few pounds off that final sale price. When it comes to viewing your second-hand e-mountain bike, I think it's really important to take a few basic tools along with you, just to check things like the chain wear, things like that out. It's going to give you an idea of how well that bike's actually been treated. So the main part of the bike that you're going to be buying obviously is the frame. Now this is vitally important to take your time to check over. Just check Obviously, if it's aluminium frame, all the welds and things like that, make sure there's no cracks or creases. Any big rock strikes on the down tube, have a look around the motor and the motor casing. Things like on a full suspension bike, just check the chain stays and the seat stays for, again, dinks, cracks, marks on it that, you know, definitely don't want on there. And obviously, if you're buying a carbon bike, just check that there's no big paint chunks missing, because that could mean something's hit it and caused it quite a stress. Also, just beware of things like stickers on bikes in abnormal places. Ask if it's okay to peel away that sticker, because it could be hiding something pretty nasty. A quick check on the bearings on the bike that you're going to be buying is definitely something worthwhile. Best way to do that is just to grab the back wheel to check the rear wheel bearings, give it a push side to side whilst holding on to the swing arm. Just make sure there's no movement in that. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of flex from the spokes. Then moving down to the crank, obviously this is part of the motor as well. So if there's any play in this one, you definitely want to be factoring it into the cost or walking away. Just hold the crank arms again, pull them side to side to make sure there's no big movement in them. Moving up to the headset, just hold the front brake, put your hand around the top headset cup and push the bike forward and back. If there's any movement in the headset, it's quite easily adjusted, but it could mean the bearings are breaking down, things like that. And obviously on the front wheel is exactly the same as the rear wheel. Just give it a good push side to side, and if that front wheel's knocking, there could be a bit of play in that bearings. It's not necessarily massive cost involved in these, it's just quite labour intensive, especially if you're getting that work done at a bike shop. One of the most expensive parts of the e-bike after the motor and the battery is obviously going to be the suspension units on your bike. You might have a rear shock, obviously, if you're on a full suspension bike, but obviously a suspension fork as well. But you definitely want to take your time to look around these. Just make sure there's no big marks or scratches or dents in the stanchions, no uneven wear, creaking or cracking going on. Just make sure every adjuster works as well, making sure locks out and every click is there. If these things are showing any signs of damage or wear, then these things are going to be super expensive to get replaced or serviced. It's worth taking a minute just to have a look at the wheels on your e-bike as well. Give them a quick spin to make sure they're nice and true. If they're buckled, it's not a major job for a bike shop to sort out. Bigger things to think about are things like splits, cracks and big dents in the rim. It just means that if you're going to run tubeless or something like that, then you might want to stick a new rim on that wheel. The battery on your e-bike is definitely a big part of the bike. Now, these things do have a shelf life and they are quite costly to replace. Bikes such as Specialized and Shimano motored bikes are going to have a Bluetooth app which will actually connect to the battery and tell you how much battery life is left, how many cycles, things like that. So they are super important. If the bike you're buying hasn't got Bluetooth connectivity or an app to show you the battery life, things such as the Yamaha or the Bosch units, then the seller might actually be super prepared and gone to a dealer and got a printout of that to show the proof of what juice is left in the battery. When it comes to checking the battery out, you just want to whip it out and have a visual inspection of the battery itself. Just check there's no big splits or cracks or dents in it. If it is damaged, then it's probably going to need a replacement. Damaged batteries are definitely a big risk. Also, just check the connections on the battery itself and on the bike. Just check they're not rusty or any moisture and things like that has got into them. Also, if the battery is secured with a key mechanism, just make sure the mechanism is working and you've got the key that actually fits that lock itself. Also, just check out the charger as well. Just check out the condition of the plug, the wires, things like that. Also, check out the connection to the battery. Just make sure that's all looking good as well, because if these are damaged, the actual chargers for the batteries can be quite costly too. Now, the heart of the e-bike is definitely the motor, and it's something you want to spend a bit of time looking at. Now, a few bikes, if they do have Bluetooth connectivity, will actually show on the app. Things like the Yamaha and the Bosch system are only going to get that information from a dealer, so it's up to you to check it out yourself. First things first, just have a quick visual inspection of the motor and all the cases. Just check there's no big hits been going on down there. Give the crank a quick spin to see if there's any resistance in there or any funny noises. Whilst you're down there, just check the seals as well. If there's rust in there, it could mean that the motor's been submerged or got a lot of water damage. Next up, turn the system on. If the motor works nice and the system works, it should flash up no error codes or no beeping. And when you test ride the bike, just make sure every single power mode is actually delivering a good amount of power from the back wheel. And eco is definite. It should have a big change when you go into boost mode, things like that. On your test ride, the motor should be nice and smooth with good power delivery. There should be no unexpected noises or rumblings going on down there. If there are problems in this area, then it all can be fixed. There's loads of parts available online, and your dealer should be able to look after you as well, sending that motor back. So don't get worried if there is a motor problem. It can be fixed, but it can be quite costly. A really good part of the e-bike is actually the display unit. The odometer reading on there is obviously going to tell you how many miles the bike itself has actually done over its years. And also things like if a dongle has been fitted to the bike or it's been de-restricted, some of those devices actually half the speed of the wheel, so in turn it's going to give you half the mileage, so it might not be a true readout. And obviously if you are buying a de-restricted or dongled e-bike, there's going to be a lot more wear on the motor and all the associated components. If you are buying private, then how do you know that the bike isn't actually stolen? Well, here's a few tips for you. I think when you first turn up, you're going to get a general vibe of the person you're buying from. Do they look like a cyclist? Have they got any other bikes there with them? Things like that. Also, you might be able to check them out on social media. Just get an idea of it. If it doesn't feel right, then it probably is going to be wrong. Things to think about as well when it comes to e-bike as well. Just make sure if the bike's got a key for the battery, that the bike comes with one, if not two keys. And it definitely should come with a charger. If the keys and the charger are missing, then that bike's probably going to be way too hot to handle. So there you go, I really hope you've enjoyed today's video on buying second-hand bikes out there. Definitely is some bargains to be had out there if you're careful, but you can definitely get stung. So if it is too good to be true, then it probably is, and I suggest you walk away ASAP. But if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to check out what size e-bike to buy over here. Whether you should choose full suspension or a hardtail, check that one out over here. Don't forget to click the globe in the middle of the screen to subscribe to EMBN. Drop some comments in the box below, and we'll see you in the next video.